Marisa Stone with Simon Says Social and the Systems Lounge, and I want to welcome you to the 2017 Business Systems Virtual Summit, where you get to learn all the business systems our speakers use every single day to get stuff done. And today I am super excited to be talking with Tandy about 3 critical steps to hiring someone you trust with your business. Now that is key, folks, because if you're pulling somebody into your business and you don't know whether or not you can trust them, needless to say, you can get yourself into trouble really quickly. So I am so excited about this particular topic. And let me give you a little bit of background into who Tandy is. She's a 6-time best-selling author. She's a 4-time cancer thriver. She's also a mom. But just in case that isn't enough, she also helps entrepreneurs lead their businesses like a rockstar CEO. Tandy has studied, taught, led, coached, spoken for over 30 years in the field of leadership, human resources, and life success. She was also instrumental in the growth of the University of Phoenix. Everybody's heard of them, right? Helping them scale from 13,000 students to over 480,000 students, while saving them millions in overhead costs and creating a departmental atmosphere that was choice for the employees. Tandy offers her clients a 5-point business plan wrapped all into one. And today she's going to talk all about hiring someone you trust so you can move up the ladder and get things done. Welcome. Woo! I'm so excited to have you here.
Oh, thank you so much. I am super excited and honored to be here with you today and to share about how we can create a world-class culture and hire people we trust with our business, baby.
Yes, that's so important, right? You know, especially for people like me, who this really is my baby. You know?
Yeah.
So let's just kind of begin at the beginning. Why hire someone?
Oh, that is an excellent question. The biggest reason to hire someone is because so that you can grow and scale.
Yes.
It's also so you can focus on your zone of genius.
Yes.
So that you can focus on those revenue building, business building activities that will help propel and move your business forward.
Yes.
You know, so many of us entrepreneurs are doing all of it. You know, we have 110 things on our to-do list. We're doing the graphics. We're doing trying to find the right picture. We're trying to do the right colors. We're trying to, you know, we're doing the newsletters, the blogs, the tech, the website, I mean, you name it.
Yeah.
And we're doing it, and we're doing ourselves a disservice.
Yeah.
When we try to do everything, particularly things that we aren't necessarily good at.
Yeah.
So it allows you to leverage your time, bottom line. And time is our biggest asset, and it's the one thing we can't get back.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I cannot even tell you how many conversations I have with clients about time as the only resource that we can't regenerate. You know, when it's gone, it's gone. So how do you know when you're ready to hire somebody? So I'm a business owner. Yeah, I'm doing a lot of these tasks that I'm not really interested in doing to begin with. But how do I know that I'm actually ready to hire somebody?
Right. When you are in a place where you aren't growing as quickly as you could be, or, you know, according to your goals.
Right.
If things are falling through the cracks.
Yes.
If customers, clients are not getting the service that you want them, you know, to experience. If you are overwhelmed, if you're stressed, if you're, again, just doing those tasks that are keeping you tied to your computer, instead of giving you that freedom that we all yearned for when we started our business in the first place.
Right.
So I think that almost every entrepreneur, unless you're just getting started, like literally just getting started, can use some help, can use a VA, a virtual assistant, which is my recommended first hire.
Right.
to help with those little things.
Right.
And you don't have to hire somebody full time. It doesn't have to be, thousands of dollars a month.
Right.
So, it can be, and a lot of entrepreneurs think that, oh, it's going to cost me an arm and a leg, to hire somebody. And, we can certainly talk and dive deeper into that, but that's not necessarily the case.
Right.
So, yeah, if you're overwhelmed, if you're stressed, if you're not getting what you want to get done, if you're behind in your projects, if things aren't moving forward, if you're focusing your time and effort on things that are not yielding you the results, or things that are taking you 10 times longer to do because you're just not good at it, it's time to hire.
Cool. Good to know. So are there struggles that businesses face that hiring someone really isn't a solution?
Yeah. When an entrepreneur or solo, small business owner hires somebody to deal with the things that, how do I say this? In place of systems. So sometimes we'll hire people instead of streamlining
the process. Yeah.
And I'm a big proponent of streamlining processes, which is what we're all about here, right?
That's what we're all about here.
So streamlining the process. So sometimes what I'm seeing is the biggest mistakes entrepreneurs make is to a couple of areas. One is that they hire somebody before they really look at a process. They're hiring them in substitution of that,
right?
Of creating a system. And then the second mistake is they're just throwing like spaghetti at the wall.
Right. Wet spaghetti, no doubt.
Right. Wet spaghetti, and seeing what sticks.
Right.
And, that's never a good strategy. You're just going to waste their time, your time, their energy, and everything else. So.
Right. So I heard you mention a few seconds ago a VA. Can you describe and explain to the audience what a VA is?
Yes. Well, first I want to say not all VAs are created equal.
Well, that was going to be my next
rule
question.
Number one. Okay. So a VA is a virtual assistant. It's someone that will work telecommute. They'll work in their own location.
Okay.
And so you're not necessarily physically together in one place.
Right.
And they are there to help you with, I want to say, everything from basic to advanced, things in your business.
Right.
VAs commonly, most VAs will do things like putting graphics together, social media scheduling,
right?
Using Hootsuite, Post Planner, Edgar, whatever, Buffer, etc. Checking emails,
right? Customer
service follow-up. Some are technology, tech follow-up. They send out your e-zines, your newsletters, your emails. They'll set all that stuff up. Billing. Mm-hmm. There's some, common foundational types of things that VAs will generally do. Creating Word docs, changing Word docs, and, when you're creating content mode,
right?
And we're creating and creating and creating. They can put slideshows together. They can convert Word documents to PDFs. They can make them look pretty. They can, do all that kind of stuff. They can even set up, like your membership site and things like that. So, but those are some more advanced type stuff. But hopefully that answers your question, gives you a little bit of an idea.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, and you also alluded to not all VAs are alike. Can you go into a little bit of detail about that?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Just like all coaches are not alike. Mm-hmm. There might be thousands of life coaches, but everyone brings their own unique skills, experience, and abilities to the table.
Right.
So some VAs have a background. Maybe they worked in corporate, in IT. So maybe they created, web pages.
Right.
So maybe they're really well versed and can create your website or update your website with, just like that. Some VAs have a background in branding. Mm-hmm. So maybe they bring a branding twist that not all VAs would.
Right.
Some VAs have a copywriting background or are an English major, so the writing piece or editing piece.
Right.
Some VAs have a background in similar to writing and editing. Maybe they would be a good partner in helping you launch that book.
Right.
Some VAs have a project management background, so maybe they would be good in helping you organize a summit.
Right.
Or things like that. So, and some VAs have like an accounting or finance background and bookkeeping background, so they can do the VA, standard, if you will, VA type functions, but they also bring the other stuff to the table.
Right.
And one of the biggest things that I see are entrepreneurs who say, "Oh, I need a VA because I need a graphic design, I need website updated, I need this," and I'm like, time out.
Yeah.
That is not a traditional VA role,
Right.
but all VAs are not created equal. So you've really got to delve deep and get clear about what it is your needs are.
Yes.
And be able to articulate your needs and what skills and abilities you're looking for. And then you can attract the right type of person to you.
Right. So I know we're going to talk a little bit about this later, but are there tasks, and I know we're going to dive deeper, and so you can just give us an overview. Are there tasks that you should never turn over to a VA?
I'll answer that in a couple ways. One is content, I think. Content creation.
I can totally.
Yeah. So things that, the actual coaching process for coaches.
Right.
Content development. I think those are the things that are like your own, those things that are unique to you.
Right.
So that kind of stuff for sure. Now, that's not to say that they can't, ghost blog, or ghost write, things like that.
And I've had a freelancer do 90% of the research on a project for me.
Yes.
And then I wrote it and put it together, using my own voice and my own
Absolutely.
signature. So there are some wiggle rooms there.
Yes.
For doing stuff like that.
The other thing I would say about that is, for me personally, I don't recommend delegating the entire financial piece of your business. So you've got to have checks and balances.
Right.
You've got to have those checks and balances.
Right.
We've talked before about, VAs that just up and disappear out of the face of the earth.
Right.
And so that leads me to the second part of that question, which is a little bit different, but related. And that is, I'm really an advocate for slowly delegating things to them. So I wouldn't recommend giving them access to all your systems, all your, all your stuff. And there are certainly ways that you can grant access without giving them the whole kit and caboodle too, depending on the systems we're talking about.
Right.
I think that slowly, testing them and, delegating slowly and building that trust and building that relationship goes a long way.
Right.
In that. But that would be, so the content creation, the actual core of your business, and the entire, like the financial services model, that piece I wouldn't delegate.
Yeah, that makes sense. So how do I find somebody I trust? That sounds like this is a huge component to pulling somebody in who's going to work for you over time.
Absolutely. Yes. So the way you find somebody you trust is you first do some homework yourself.
Right.
You got to get clear on what it is, how you're spending your time, what things you don't like doing, what things you do love doing,
right.
And, how many hours you're spending doing all the different tasks. And while asking, we're on social media all the time. So a lot of people will post quite, messages in different Facebook groups saying, hey, I'm looking for a VA, any recommendations? Recommendations definitely help, yet somebody that works great with me may not work great with you.
That is true.
And so you've got to be, you've got to really vet the people and really be, and that's part of the whole system we're going to talk about is, the vetting process of this consistent system to make sure that you're recruiting the right people.
Right.
The next, and this is sometimes people kind of gloss over, but I think it's really imperative when you're putting together the job description and even just thinking about your business and the kind of culture you want to create, and that is your values.
Yes.
You've got to get clear about your values. So once you know your time, how much time you're spending on what, and I have an exercise of 5 different things to document to get clear about what it is you could and should delegate and hire for, and then really get clear about your core values because and communicating those values on the front end when you're recruiting for somebody. There are a lot. There are over at least 25 solid ones that I know of, but I know there's a lot more. Outsourcing sites that you can go and hire people for. You can also do it on your own, freelancers and things like that. But getting clear about your values, getting clear about the what you want to delegate, and the specific skills and abilities that you need in somebody. That's step 1. You've really got to get really clear about that. And then from there, it's, you post on Facebook, you can post in groups, you can go to Upwork or, any number of other, job sites, if you will. And go from there.
Cool. So let's talk a little bit about the elephant in the room. How much is this going to cost me to hire somebody?
Yes.
Because that seems to be a big issue for a lot of entrepreneurs, even kind of those entrepreneurs who've been in business for a little while. If you're paying somebody else, that could be a major part of your budget. So
yes. I'll answer in a way I hate getting answered, and that is it depends.
I know.
So it depends on what it is you're having them do. But generally speaking, you can get a good VA overseas, Philippines, India, for, on average, $3 to $5 an hour.
Right.
So that's pretty darn inexpensive.
Right.
Compared to, what you might think.
Right.
The average VA, generally here in the United States, it's about 25 to 35 an hour.
Right.
And upwards of 50 an hour.
Right.
It just really depends, again, on the caliber and the experience and all of that. Sometimes people don't like working with folks in other countries because of the time difference.
Right.
That had been a big issue for me for a long time. In the middle of my night, it's their daytime. So if they've got questions and I'm asleep, it's kind of difficult to, to do that. Plus you've got some communication barriers sometimes.
Right.
So I've done it all. But on average, you can get somebody good that will do those basic functions and stuff for you. Under $10 an hour, I would say, just generally. Right.
And then you have to think about you as the CEO or the person running your company. What's your hour worth? And
that's right.
Do you need to be doing those $10 an hour tasks, or do you need to be, handing those off to somebody else?
That's right.
So are there hidden costs in hiring somebody that we may not know about?
Sure. So if you are, if you go through an agency, or an outsourcing company, there are going to be fees that they will impose.
Okay.
So that's one thing to consider. The positive about that is that you don't have to file taxes if you're not, so if you physically hire somebody, as an actual employee of yours, as opposed to hiring a freelancer, or through an agency, If you're actually hiring, you've got costs, you've got taxes, you've got payroll, you've got, the administrative costs of, all of that, eventually benefits, that kind of stuff.
Right.
But from a freelance perspective, the hidden costs are a couple things. One is what I just said, which is the any fees and things like that. The other is the hidden cost of your time.
Yes.
Because we mistakenly think, okay, great, I've hired you, here's my AWeber thing, here's this, go.
Right.
And that's not the way to start a relationship,
right,
with your VA. So know that you're going to spend a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, depending, not full time, but you're going to need to invest time in that person, in developing a relationship, and sharing and training and delegating and getting things right, and all those things that go into play when you bring somebody on. So those are definitely hidden costs of time, and effort. Yeah.
Absolutely. Those are definitely things I hadn't thought of. Now, I have heard of people creating a resource library as they're bringing somebody on, and that resource library contains, videos of all the tasks that they are expected to do and how exactly they want those tasks done, which I think is a fantastic idea. But somebody has to create that resource library. So either way, my time is being spent on preparing this person. So that makes a lot of sense. So I know we're coming to the end of this interview, but I do want to ask you, how can people reach out to you? So if they want to work with you, or I know you're giving away a freebie here for this event, how can they reach out to you?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. Yes, feel free to, check out the link to this interview. And there you will find a link to my 5 tips for hiring the perfect virtual assistant.
Perfect.
And that's the best way to connect with me.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, Tandy, thank you so much for being here today. For those of you that want to continue with us in this conversation, we are going to do a much deeper dive in the all access pass of the 2017 Business Systems Virtual Summit. Make sure you grab your seat in there, because Tandy will be right back in just a few moments, and we will be diving deeper into the hiring process to make sure you find the perfect person that you can trust with your business. Thanks so much, Tandy. We'll talk to you guys very soon. Bye.
Bye.